Hello, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me now? If you can hear me, please, can you give me a reaction or someone to unmute their mic
I hear you, sir.
and confirm if you can hear me, please? Hello,
We can hear you, sir.
can you hear me? Okay. So since you can
Yes,
hear me,
Brian.
you're all
Brian.
welcome to the seminar for the second week. This seminar is promised to be enlightening and breathtaking. This is what we call the Growth Ladder Seminar. This seminar is going to be focusing majorly on two key aspects. And the reason for this seminar is to enlighten every one of you to come up to speed in carrying out your project. So before we start, I want to acknowledge the presence of the team lead in the person of Sir Lawrence Johnson, present with us. Can I get a reaction, an emoji from every one of you to welcome our team lead? Good. More of that. Okay. And also, I also want to acknowledge the presence of our mentors who are here with us and the team, the management teams also, head of communications, head of socials, and the technical support, and also the program coordinators. They are all here present with us. So I would advise every one of you to be in your good behavior as usual and be set. Come to this seminar with your writing material because it's going to be filled with a lot of insight. And if you have questions, do well to place your questions on the comment section. This comment section will be used for your questions, and if there is room to give you opportunity to speak with your question, we'll give you room for that. We're going to be having two speakers, and before we call up the speakers, I want one person in the among the interns to please unmute and tell us their experiences so far. This is the second week, and I want to hear an experience of one person. You tell us your name and your cell code and tell us your experience. So, who is going? I'm going to pick one person. Okay, someone's hands is up. Who is this person? Let me check. That is Joseph Adugu.
Yes.
Joseph Adugu,
Yes,
right?
please. Good evening, sir. Yes.
So, Joseph Adugu, can you unmute and tell us?
Okay, good evening, sir. I don't know. Can you hear me? Please confirm. Can anybody hear me, sir?
Joseph, we can't hear you.
Oh. Hello, good evening. Can you hear me now? Hello? Ha. Can anybody hear me?
What's happening?
We can hear
I
you,
can see
Joseph.
the coordinator. I don't know if you can hear me.
Okay, go on, Joseph. You can speak louder. I don't know.
Okay, I don't know if you can hear me. Good evening, sir. Maybe network. Please, can someone else confirm if they can hear me so I can just go ahead and speak?
We can hear you.
Okay. But the coordinator wanted to hear our experience as intern, and it's supposed to be directed to him. So if you can't hear me, I don't know.
Okay, I can hear you now. Continue. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you now. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. So go on.
Okay, my name is Joseph from Horizon Circle.
Yeah.
I am the back-end developer for the Circle.
Okay.
So our experience for both week 1 and 2 has been quite interesting, though we've been having back and forth with communication, and also for my team, the data analyst showed up and could not continue again. So there was a loophole, but collectively with the PM, Divine, and the front end, all of us, we came together to like do the work of the data analyst. So it has been a very interesting experience. And as interns, for some, we didn't know the level of expertise for some people, and then some have not worked in a remote environment before, and everything is new.
Hello.
So yeah, hello. So everything is new, and then it's quite interesting. Product designer has been doing well. He's open to corrections, even though when we banter and all, we come to agree on something. So it has been a really great experience. Thank you. That's for me, for my team. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, Joseph. That was awesome. That was awesome. I also heard when you talked about covering up for your data analyst that ran away. That's good. That's good. That shows the spirit of teamwork. So today's seminar is going to be anchoring on two aspects. There is time management and communication, because we as mentors we observe that you people lack that competencies in managing your time and communicating well. I think that was part of what I treated during my mentors review with my team, with my PMs on yesterday evening. And I believe you guys need more of it to be able to communicate well and do well. So I'm going to be calling up the first speaker that will be talking on time management. He's our product, he's our project coordinator. He's the one that will be educating us and enlightening us more on how to manage our time during the process of this Orange internship. Remember, this is a remote work setting, so effective time management is important. So he's going to be teaching us on effective time management in the remote work setting. So with the emoji you love more, can we welcome our product program coordinator in the person of Mr. Daniel. With your emoji, can you react quickly? Can you welcome our product coordinator as he takes the stage?
Hold on, Sauche. Thank you so much.
Oh.
Good evening. Good evening, all. You're welcome to today's series of ladder growths of the Orange Internship. I'm sure you've been having a great week. For the past 2 weeks, you've been working as a team. You've been learning a lot. And as a team, we've put up this program to enlighten you people more on some level of growth that will aid in your workspace in a remote setting. So like the head of training have said, my name is Daniel Okobia. I'm the program manager for Orange Internship. First of all, before I go further, I would like to appreciate our team lead, Mr. Johnson Lawrence, for this opportunity. Thank you so much, sir. I'm grateful. And you could also appreciate yourself for making it out of the 650 something persons that applied for this program. You were able to scale through. So you can appreciate yourself once again. You're welcome. So I'll be speaking today on time management in a remote setting. Very briefly. So during the course of my teaching, if they will have any question, you can quickly drop it on the so that when we're done, we'll be able to quickly answer that. So if you can see my screen, I would like to just for you to react. Can I get a reaction? Okay, good covenant. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. So today I'll be speaking on effective time management for high performing interns in a remote work setting. Effective time management. So you first ask yourself, why are we talking about effective time management in a remote like setting? You must understand that most of your team members that you have, I'm sure most of you have not even gotten to see them. You don't even know them. But most of the times you just have your team call, your review call where you get to know each other. So for you to work remotely, you must be able to manage your time for you to effectively deliver what is in your hands. And as in a cycle of 5, you've been assigned a project brief, whereby you guys get to analyze the brief and come to conclusion of what the brief is all about. But if you don't know how to effectively communicate and manage your time, then at the end, the goal will not be achieved. Because without effective management of time, you realize that one person in the team is dragging everyone. And if one person is lagging, it gets to affect the whole team. So my introduction, I say that communication is the glue. Communication is what holds a remote work setting together. Why did I say so? For you to effectively give a good product at the end of everything you're doing, you must be able to communicate well. So I say, if there's one thing that holds every remote team together, it's communication. A quick message, a shared update, a schedule call. And I got the response that you guys have been doing it right from the very first day you got accepted into the Orange internship. Some of your cycles immediately had to do a quick call, a quick message, which is so beautiful. But because of that communication now that you established from the very beginning, that's what has kept you guys going. So communication is a glue that holds every remote team together. So I say the best update in the world is useless if it comes too late. For example, now if this the meeting link wasn't shared on time, let's say for example the meeting was scheduled to hold by 6 p.m. and it was shared to you at 10 minutes past 6. Now it is almost useless because you've missed 10 minutes of the meeting time. So getting an information very, very early is also very essential in a remote like setting. So I say time management. Time management is what makes good communication possible. Time management is what makes what good communication possible. In a traditional office, time is managed for you, but in remote work, you have to manage it yourself. What do I mean by that? When you are working in a traditional office, you have a structure that gets to manage your time. You have a start work time from 7 to 5. Let's say you're working from 7 to 5. You have to come to office by 7 o'clock, sign in, go to your decks and do other things. Your whole work for that day has been scheduled. But in a remote like setting, you have to schedule that yourself in the sense that no one tells you when to wake up. No one tells you when to go on your workstation and put on your laptop. So it all depends on when you do that yourself. So I said, if you don't build the structure yourself, it simply won't exist. In the sense that if you don't build a good time management for yourself as a remote worker, the structure will never come. So it is up to you to build up that structure. And any structure you build, that is what makes it possible for you to succeed in a remote setting, or that is what will make you fail in a remote setting. So I say, what are we talk about some time management challenges that most remote workers get to encounter during the time. So I say, first of all, what remote work does to you is that it remove a structured environment, in the sense that in a remote setting, you don't have a structured environment. You don't have a boss that's coming to tell you, hey, you're not in the office. So you are the one to create that structured environment. I say disappearance of structured environment, remote settings take away that from you. A remote setting also the illusion of being online versus being productive. So you get to hear most remote workers say, I've been on my screen from 12 a.m. to 12 p.m. But when you get to check their deliverables, you realize that they are not performing anything. So they are registering themselves online, but when it comes to productivity, they are not actually being they're not good in delivering that. So a remote setting takes away the illusion of online versus being productive. Then we have a self-inflicted distractions. As a remote worker, we have a lot of distractions. The few minutes you just let me just quickly check a tab. The next thing you realize that you've spent 1 hour in a different tab. So you are the one that gets to discipline yourself in that aspect. And if you can't do this, then surely you will not be able to have a good time management. You will not be able to have a good time management. If we're together, can I still get a reaction? Let me know that I'm still, all of you are following me. Can I get a reaction from you? If we're together. Okay, good, good. So let's proceed. So now, let me explain the three what the remote setting takes away from you. I say it takes in a physical office, time is managed from you, which I've said earlier on. You have your colleagues arriving and leaving. You have meetings that get to pull you into the meeting room. Your supervisor walking past your desk. But in a remote settings, all these things it strips you of all that, in the sense that you are the one to manage all these things. So there's no ambient clue telling you that your workday has a shape. The structure has to come from you deliberately. So if you want to start working as early as 7 a.m., you are the one to build up that structure. If you want to be on bed till 10 o'clock in the morning, you are the one still to build that structure for yourself. So as a worker or as an intern in a remote like setting, you are the one to build that structure for you. Nobody else will build that structure. And without having such structure, you cannot be productive in anything you do. No matter how good you are in your skill, no matter how good you are as a backend developer, no matter how good you are as a brand designer, if you can't build structure for yourself, then you get to suffer, because everything you do has a time limit. If you are meant to produce a document by 10 o'clock and you are waking up by 10 o'clock, how will you be able to produce that document? So you see how managing time in a remote setting and also as a team is very essential. You have to learn how to build a structure for yourself. You build a structure and you work with that structure. So also, I talked about being online versus being productive. So I said an average length of a focus work section is 13 minutes. We have a downtime of almost 9% in the past 2 years, in the sense that people get to only be able to being focused for about 13 minutes. And after 13 minutes of being focused, they get to switch tab. So you see, you have to build this thing yourself. No one will teach you how to build time management. You have to build it yourself. How well am I just being online, scrolling from one tab to another, or I'm being online and at the end I'm being effective in my deliverables? So you have to be productive. The differences between being online and being productive are a two parallel line. They are not together. Being online is different from being productive. So you must be able to manage your time well for you to be a productive remote worker. Even as a team, working as a team, you must be able to manage your time well, because if you can't manage your time well as in working as a team, then the rest of your team members gets to suffer it. You'll be the one dragging them. The other person that spoke earlier, he talked about them not having a data analyst. You also hear so many complaints of in different cycles that this person is not answering his messages, this is not picking up calls, because they have not been able to structure themselves in and be able to manage their time. So you must understand that time management as a remote worker, time management as an Intel, time management working online is very, very, very essential. Very essential. I talked about distractions. So you are the one that gets to distract yourself. Nobody around is to catch you. So there's nobody that is yet to supervise you. You can be on your laptop and the next thing you're already watching the new series that is out. And before you know, you spent a lot of time doing that. So you have to intentionally focus and tell yourself, I must manage my time so that I can be able to deliver my tasks well. I must be able to deliver my tasks well. So time management frameworks, we have different frameworks, but I'll speak on 5 different frameworks that helps you to take control of your time. First of all, let's talk about time blocking. Time blocking. This way, you get to assign tasks on your calendar. Now, you're not just assigning tasks alone, but you are also assigning when to do it. So on your calendar for today, you say from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., I get to understand the project brief. So you are assigning the tasks and you are also assigning time to each block in your calendar. So by so doing, at each interval of time, you know this is what I'm meant to do. From 9 to 10, I am meant to look at my project brief. From 12 to 2, I am meant to answer emails, and so forth and so forth. So you must be able to assign tasks to each time, not just assigning tasks to your calendar. Also include timing to each task that you are assigning to it. So we have the Ensuite matrix. Now, this is separated into 4. We have the urgent and important. If it's urgent and it's important, you do it immediately. We have the important but not urgent. Thereby, you get to schedule it. Okay, it is important too, but it is not very urgent. So I get to block it in my time, in my calendar. From this time to this time, I will slot it in. It is important, but it's not urgent. So I get to do it much later. It is urgent, but not important. For example, now, in your cycles, in each of your cycles, you have 5 members. You have the program manager, you have the front end dev, the back end dev, you have the data analyst, and you also have the, what am I missing now? The brand designer. So for example, now you need, as a PM, you need to have the UI this thing of your cycle. But it is urgent, but you don't know how to do that. So what are you supposed to do? You delegate it to your UI designer. This is what we need. So this thing is urgent, but you are not in the capacity to do that. Or even though you are in the capacity to do that, but it is not urgent. What do you need to do? You delegate it so that you'll be able to use that time to do much important tasks. So it can be urgent, but you check it. Is it very important? Is it something that if I don't do, something else will happen? If no, and I know another person in my cycle or in my team can do that, why don't I assign that task? When it's done, I get to supervise it. Is it okay? If it's not okay, I get to add 1 or 2 corrections, and it's good to go. Then the last point we have, it is neither urgent, it is neither important. What do you need to do with that? You drop it. So in the matrix, we have 4 different tasks. We have, if it's important and it's urgent, don't schedule it for another time. Do it immediately. You know it is important that you need to sign up a document by 9 a.m. It is important and it's urgent. You do it immediately. It is important, but it's not very urgent. You block it up in your time, in your calendar. It is urgent, but it's not important. That's why you have team members. You delegate people to do it. Then it is neither important and it's neither urgent. Then you drop it. Then we have the 2 minutes rule and we have the deep work sprint. Now this is how the 2 minutes rule works. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, what do you need to do? You do it immediately. So I know that the task it takes less than 2 minutes, I attack it immediately than allowing you to pile up. So let's say you have 10 different tasks that it is 2 minutes. Without you doing it, you see your body accumulates 20 minutes of work. So if it's less than 2 minutes, you do it immediately. But if it's more than 2 minutes, what do you need to do? You need to schedule it into a proper time block. Then we have the deep work sprints. The deep work sprints whereby work is being focused at intervals. For example, you say, I will be focused for 45 minutes, then have a 10 minutes break to recover, then go back and focus for another 45 minutes. Why are you doing a deep work sprint? So that you will not be able to wear out yourself and you get burnout. So by following the framework of deep work sprints, you are able to preserve yourself from being worn out and being burnt out, and you'll be able to still focus more and you deliver well. So within that 10-minute break, you can be able to just quickly check your tab, what's happening on the internet, what's happening on X and the rest, just for you to be able to get yourself back. So we have daily and weekly planning rituals. This is very, very important. You get time, you spend at least 10 minutes of each morning planning your day. This is what I will do. This is important. So from 9 to 10, I get to do this. From this time to this time, I get. So you get to plan your day. You get to plan your week, especially as a remote worker. Nobody gets to do this. I say a single habit prevents reactive and scattered work. A single habit whereby you get to do something repeatedly. You get to learn how to plan your week, plan your day. Where you do that the first day, do that the second day, the first week, second week, and you see that it becomes part of it. Thereby, you are not having a scattered work. You do everything and you get to do it on time. Remember, time management is very, very essential. Without having a good time management skill as a remote worker, as an intern working for any organization, no matter how skillful you are, no matter how intelligent you are, you won't be able to go far. Because without having a proper time management skill, you won't be able to deliver. And without you delivering, your service is as good as useless. Because you can't deliver on time. So without you being able to deliver, then you are not good to go. So there's this a quick scenario whereby it talks about the framework. We have from 9 o'clock, you get to plan 10 minutes planning rituals. We have also from 10 minutes past 9, you run through the tasks on the matrix. Is this important? You check whether if it's important and urgent, you get to do it. You also check whether it's important but not urgent. So it also helps you in organizing your day. Then we also have the time block, whereby you get to attach deliverables in each of the timing. Then we have the deep work sprint and also the 2-minute rule. Then in conclusion, I say build the structure nobody else will build for you. Build the structure nobody else will build for you. Effective time management in a remote setting isn't about working for longer hours. It is about building structures and making your efforts visible to the people relying on you. Let me go through this again. I want all of you to pay attention to this conclusive part. It says build the structure that nobody else will build for you. Effective time management in a remote setting isn't about working for longer hours. It is about building structure and making your efforts visible to the people relying on you. It is about making your efforts visible to the people relying on you. So I'm sure with these few frameworks that I've shared with you and also teaching you on how to manage your time, you'll go further with your team and you'll be able to understand that time management is a very essential tool in working remotely. Time management is a very, very essential tool in keeping you in a remote-like setting. Thank you once again. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. So if you have any question, you can quickly drop it on the comment section and I'll do well to attend to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. That was powerful. That was awesome. That was awesome. The 15 minutes, 13 minutes framework, and you own your time in the remote worker space. He also made mention of 4 different strata of time management. I hope every one of you got it. So any question? Any question from any question? For want of time, if you have any question, drop it in the comments. Then after the second speaker, we'll attend to your questions and answer as much as possible. Okay? Uh, so up next is the next speaker, who is our head of partnership and communication. She's an erudite scholar and also someone who understands what it entails to be a good communicator. And she's going to be taking the next section, which will be effective communication in the remote work setting for the interns. And welcome with me our head of communications and partnership, Miss Dima. Can you give me a reaction quickly as we welcome her? Okay,
Hello
so Miss
everyone, can you
Dima.
hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you very well.
All right, thank you so much. And thank you, Daniel. That was a really powerful presentation. So before I'd like to start, I want to ask, hope we've had a very great week so far. Hope our week has been really, really good so far. Okay, I usually like to have a very interactive class, but then I would want to share a very short story, or I'll say a very short example of just how effective communication is. Now, imagine you and your friend decide to organize you and 4 of your friends decide to organize a birthday party. Everyone volunteers for a task. So one person handles the decoration, another handles the food, someone else taking care of the music, and someone else taking care of the cake. And then one of you now says, oh, don't worry, I know this venue that we can quickly book, and it will be really great for this party. So everyone agrees. Then before the event, which is the birthday party, nobody hears from the person that is booking the venue. So you send him a message, no response. You call him, no response. Now 4 of you keep calling that person and kept sending him texts and leaving messages, and he didn't reply. The next morning, you continue the game, same issue, no response. Then around afternoon, this person says, oh, sorry, I was busy and I could not book that venue. Of course, that you'll be very, very pissed off. But then the question is, what do you think was the real problem? It's not that if he said, oh, it's because he got busy or he was not really serious about the birthday party, that would be a fair assessment. But the real issue was that he kept everyone in the dark. If he had simply sent a message earlier on saying they couldn't do it or something came up and they just could not do it, someone else would have stepped in. The event would still have happened. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly how remote teams work. In a remote work, silence is very, very expensive. One message or the absence of a message can affect an entire team. So I want us to share and talk about how communication and time management can make an entire remote team very, very effective. So I'll just go on ahead and I'll share my screen right now. If you can hear me, just give me a thumbs up. That'll be fine. Okay, perfect. Let me just share my screen. Okay. Aha. So hold on. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Okay, all right. Let's just go ahead. So over the past 2 weeks, we've watched you all work in different projects, and some teams progressed very, very quickly, as in we've seen evidence of it in our leadership board, in our scoreboard and all that, and some are struggling. And we as management team, one thing that we have become very, very clear to us is that success in a remote work isn't determined only by how technically skilled you are. Of course, everyone here is skilled, but then it's more of how you communicate and how you manage your time. Now, I don't know if you remember, but last week we sent out a survey for you to fill. And the results of that survey is what you see now. We just had to hold this seminar as a result of that survey because we discovered that a lot of you were having issues with your time management and communication. So I'm going to be talking about professional communications for high-performing remote work and the habits that separate a good remote worker from the one that everyone wants on their team. Because when you read this, you might think, oh, a good remote worker, everybody can easily want a good remote worker, but that is different. There are habits that literally separate a good remote worker. And then there are some workers that you'd want to have in your team, right? So let's just go on ahead. So when people hear the term remote work, the first thing that comes into their head is the flexibility. Oh, I could just be at home. I won't have to spend money on transport and I would just be cooking and be working, or I could be on my pajamas. Of course, these are all the advantages of working from home. But then the thing is that remote work, because you're working remotely, doesn't mean that you're working alone. And it also doesn't mean that you're not working in a team. You're still part of a team. The only difference is that instead of walking over to someone's desk or coming to work or you're seeing your teammates physically, your communications now happen through your video calls, your email updates, your Discord, just anywhere. You see in your channels that you're using to communicate with. That is where the communication happens. Now, in a remote space, your words and how you communicate is now your presence. And that presence translates into visibility. And visibility changes every single thing. Now look at the examples we have on the screen here. In the office, people can see you. Your effort is visible. When you're frustrated, people can look at you and know, oh, why are you looking like this? You say, oh, I'm frustrated or I'm stuck at this. And someone can easily help you because they're seeing you face to face. But then in a remote space, if you don't communicate, nobody will know. Nobody will know that you're there. Nobody will know that you're working. Nobody will know you've stuck. Or people can just assume, oh, okay, the person just disappeared. We've not seen him. We've not heard from him. Now, imagine you spend 5 hours working on a design project, but you've never communicated with your PM or any of your teammates, and for the past 5 hours. And of course, something is going on. And from your perspective, you've been productive, been really, really productive. But from your PM's perspectives and your teammates' perspectives, you've simply disappeared. And that's why visibility is so important, because your communication makes your work very, very visible. Your efforts must be narrated. Silence is always read as talk. We had this issue, I'm not going to mention the circle's name, but then we had this issue where one of the PMs just disappeared, according to what the teammates are saying. She didn't give a reason why she disappeared, but she just disappeared. And we tried to reach out to her several times, and only for her to come up and be like, oh, network this, network that. But she was online. She just could not just phantom bringing out her phone to say, oh, this happened, this happening. People can just give me like 2 days and I'll be back again. But I've also seen this same example happen in another team where the PM was very, very much able to communicate. One silence always becomes a team-wide problem. Now, your project delays, it doesn't start with something very, very small. It's always something very huge, rather. It starts always very small. A missed message will translate to a delayed task. A delayed task, then someone else translates to a blocked teammate, and then a missed time, and then the entire team is just frustrated. Someone else, okay, I would give like an example for these blocked teammates, because I know everybody's looking at these blocked teammates. We've all had this experience where the product designer is being slow and then the front end is waiting for the brand designer to submit their work for them to design. And then by the time they don't do that on time, the week just runs out, and at the end of the day, they'll keep on getting 0 or less than the expected mark they would have gotten if one person has just communicated. And I'm sure each one of us here has experienced something. If you've experienced something, just give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you're still following. All right. Okay. So what do we do differently? These are the 4 habits, because we've laid down these problems. But then how do we solve them? The first habit is to communicate early. No matter what, if you're struggling with a task, no man is an island. We humans beings, we are meant to interact with one another. And at the end of the day, we're all here to learn. So if you're struggling with a task, you do not wait until the deadline has passed or just randomly give up in the middle of the task and just leave your teammates high and dry. Because we've seen this happen several times. But I'll get to that in like the next few slides. Be clear about exactly what you're working on. There can never be an over communication. Oh, team, I'm working on this. Instead of saying, oh, I'm working on a screen, you could say, I am working on the onboarding screen of this or this. Now, see the difference. By the time a teammate, a management team asks your PM, what are you guys working on now? The PM won't just say, he said he's working on a screen, or they said they're working on this. She could be able to give instances on exactly whatever they are working on. The third one is to respond promptly. Even if you can't solve a problem immediately, acknowledge the message. There are sometimes when you see something and you want to maybe you've forgotten or you're really, really busy. You could just give me some time. I'll respond as soon as I am less busy. That is communication. That is then you're respecting a person's time too, because this person is also bringing out time for you. So you're respecting that person's time. So before asking questions, you check previous messages to also know if that question you're asking has been answered, right? I can't see this last one. Let me just shift it. And then also post it to, don't just communicate to one person. Sure, your PM is there, but then your teammates are also people, right? You guys are all parts of the team. So your PM could maybe forget to communicate to the rest. So just post it on the channel. That is the best way to communicate even. Because now, even if your else would not miss it. There are examples I'll give here. Let's look at these 2 first updates. Now, the first person just says, oh, I am working on it. The second person explains what is already been completed, what is causing a delay, and when the remaining work will be finished. Now, if you're a PM here, which team would you rather work with? Obviously, the second person, because even though both of them we end up doing the same amount of work, one person communicates in a much better way, and that communication builds trust amongst teams. See an example of a poor communicator. He says, there's no sense of progress. No timeline is given. He just said, oh, I'll finish it soon. What is soon? Soon could be next week. Soon could be tomorrow. Soon could be 5 minutes from now. But then a professional person will always list out what that soon is. I'm working on so design, and like currently I am stuck, but in the next few minutes I will be done with it. And if I am still stuck, I would be able to tell my teammates that this is what is going on. This is the way. The difference is in the efforts. Sorry, the difference is not the effort, but exactly how the message is built. Because you can be communicating, but then you're not communicating well. We had this issue last week. Again, I am not going to mention a second, but then we had this issue last week where one of them was struggling with a personal problem, and they just could not say it out loud. And because of that, their team, I think their team got a 0 or a 35, just somewhere along. The whole thing just derailed the team. The team was demoralized, and they just kept complaining, only for her to come up and very much rudely say, oh, it's life issues, life happens. But does it mean that life doesn't happen to each one of you in the team? You just have to respect respect your teammates, respect people's time too. Because you feel life is happening to you, doesn't mean that life is not happening to every other person. So please learn to communicate. Now for this one, this is, you know, that stuff I told you I was going to talk about later. This is what I was going to talk about later. One reason most people procrastinate is because they look at a task and I don't know why in their head they just think, oh, this is too big for me. You tell them build an app and their brain just freezes. But then if you break it into different sections, you could break it, this is your project, right? You could do research on it, you do your design. From your research, you've gotten like insights on how to do your design. From design, you've gotten insights on how to do your development. And then your testing and your delivering. These are how to, you don't just look at something as a whole. Sometimes it's very good to break it down into smaller bits. So you understand, if you look at something as a whole, sometimes, right? You tend to overcomplicate issues. You tend to overcomplicate tasks. So sometimes learn to break things down slowly, one step at a time, just one tiny step at a time, and you definitely get to the big one, right? Okay, so we go on to our high performer habits. This is the difference between a remote worker and and a worker that everyone wants to have in their team. The people that always stand out in a remote team, they're not always the smartest person. They're not really the smartest person in the room, to be honest. They are the people with good habits, and these are the good habits. They are punctual. Whatever they're having issues with, they always write it out very clearly. They always follow through. Not, I'll finish it today, and then by the end of the day, we are not seeing any results. You promise today, you promise tomorrow, but then no results is coming up. They're always actively listening, and they initiate, they give examples, they to sometimes, they are very proactive. You get, now these talents are, it's not something that requires, this habit is not something that requires talent at all. It's something that you just have to consistently do. By the time you do 1, 2, you wouldn't even know when you've adopted this group. I think I'll have to mention their name now. Vanguard Group. Their communication is top notch. I would literally give, you see the reason why they are topping the leadership, but it's because they communicate so well. If one person is having issue, the way they just list everything out, the way they communicate with each other, it is, I want every other group to actually adopt that. So I'll give it to Vanguard Circle. Their communication is really good. So be punctual. Whenever you have a meeting, please always be punctual. And if you will not attend, tell your mates on time. These are tiny habits, but then these tiny habits are the things that we've already seen would create a team-wide problem. Okay, so another thing is our daily checklist. Now, I want you to imagine what would happen if everyone on your team followed this checklist every single day. Just imagine it. If everyone could wake up and then they will list their top 3 priorities at the start of every work day, whatever that is stopping them from completing a particular task, they will just highlight it, and then they will like make sure to finish everything before logging off, or at least give reasons why they were not able to finish this particular task before logging off, post their status updates, replies to every email, stuff like that. Just imagine what would happen if every single one of your teammates have this habit or do this every single day. These aren't difficult, these habits at all. They're not really difficult. It's just consistency. And if you really want to stand out in remote work, or even in work in general, not just in this internship, but also in your career, you literally have to adopt some of these things. So for our next slide, we're going to be talking about what success looks like in a team. This is actually very self-explanatory. One thing I want everybody to remember is that success in a team isn't just about very bright individuals or very intelligent individuals. It's a team that communicates well. This team, again, I'm going to give another example. There was this team that they're actually doing really good, but at some point, one of their team members was having issues, and they were the way they swiftly communicated with the management team, and we had to assign a replacement. The way they just kept on giving us, oh, our team is this, our team is this. We just had to quickly give them a replacement. These are things that when you look at it, or when you see in the scoreboard, you're seeing, oh, this team is doing better. But these are tiny, tiny habits that they are exhibiting amongst themselves that your team might be lacking. So please do a check-in within yourself and within your team, and please inculcate it among yourself. Now, I'll leave with a final quote that says, I mean, I've said it before, but then technical skills gets you on the team or gets you the job. So we're not just talking about this internship now. You could, in the nearest future, you could get a job. Your technical skill is the one that will get you that job. But then your communication skills, that is what will make people want to work with you again. Your portfolio might get you an interview, but your professionalism, your reliability, and your communication will determine whether people will remember you or even recommend you for a few opportunities, for or just a few, but not just few opportunities, but future opportunities rather. So as we continue this internship, I'd like to challenge each and every single one of us to adopt this new task each week. Don't wait for someone to ask you for an update. Always be the first to communicate. And if you are stuck, please speak up early. If you've completed a task, let your team know. Update your Jira board, please. If you also need help, ask for it, not just within your team. Ask a management team for help. You get these simple habits will be what will help you within this internship, and then also help you throughout your career. So thank you so much for listening. I really hope you found this very, very helpful. And if you have any questions, you can basically just ask. I would stop sharing my screen for now and just wait for you guys to share the questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bima. So it's question time. If you have any question, you can indicate by raising up your hand, and you can also drop it at the comment section if you cannot ask it physically. So we are waiting for you. Any question so far? Okay. Any question? No question? Okay. I want to ask a question. Probably it's going to help you revamp a bit. Can someone here among the interns tell me the 4 different categories of time management that was taught by Mr. Daniel? Someone from the interns, name, circle, and the answer. And tell me what he talked about, how to utilize them, how to. I'm waiting.
Good evening, sir. Um, I, I'm trying to raise up my hand, but I can't see the raising up sign. So I want to answer
No
the
problem.
question.
Go on,
Okay.
Innocent.
So there are four, according to the Eisenhower, the I've forgotten this, but it's basically urgent and important tasks, then urgent and not important tasks, then important and not urgent, and then not important and not urgent tasks. Those are the four categories.
Okay. So he also made mention of what to do to each of these categories
Oh, okay.
after.
So urgent and important, you do them first. Then urgent and not important, if you can do them quickly, that is if they are, does not take time. But if it takes time, you can like delegate it to someone. Then important and not urgent, you schedule. Then not important and not urgent, you don't do at all. Is that okay, sir?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. Someone is so it's like someone asked the question on the group. He's saying it's tree. Who is that person saying tree? Okay, so what if it is urgent? Someone said question from who is this? Mercy Carlo. Why is it urgent if it is not important? That is the question. Like, why should there be a priority to something that is not important? From Mercy Carlo. So, Mr. Daniel, this question is for you. He said, why is it urgent if it is not important? Like, why should there be a priority to something that is not important?
Okay, Mercy, that is a good question. Why is it urgent but it's not important? Okay, let's use a real life scenario now. Why is it urgent but it's not important? So, for example, let's say it is important that you need to go visit a friend because the friend is ill. But is it very urgent? If I go by 9 o'clock and if I go by 12 o'clock, is there anything going to happen? So if I want to go by 9, if it's by 9 and I'm actually having a time block, I put in my calendar that there's something to do by 9 o'clock, and by 12 o'clock, my calendar is free. So why don't I go by 12 o'clock? It is not urgent, but it's important. So it's important that I visit my friend, but it is not urgent because whether I visit my friend by 9 or by 12, I have still visited my friend. It is important. So with this real life scenario I've just given, you'll be able to still look at it in your own work settings. So there are some things that are actually important, but doing them urgently will actually delay other tasks that is urgent and also important for you to do. So you just have to be able to decipher which one is urgent and which one is important and which one is actually important but not urgent. So therefore, I can shift them to another time block. So I don't know if that was able to answer your question. Thank you, sir.
Okay. I believe that answers the question perfectly. Okay, she's still asking again. She says she believes that you missed it up during your response.
Okay,
That is,
Mercy, it is urgent and important. It is important but not urgent. It is important but not urgent. Then we have urgent but not also important. So when it is urgent and important, you attack it immediately, you do it immediately. But if it's important but it's not urgent, you schedule it. Then we have urgent but not important. If it's urgent but it's not important, you can either do it yourself much more later or you can delegate a team. So if it's urgent and is not important, you can either delegate a team or you get to do it much more later. Then the last one, you don't even, it's neither urgent or neither important. So you can have something that is urgent but not important. So I don't know if that is okay by you now. So first of all, we have urgent and important. You do it immediately. Then you have urgent. It is important but not urgent. You schedule it in your time block. Then you have urgent but not important. You delegate a team or you do it yourself much later. Then it is neither both. It is neither urgent and it's neither important. Thank you, Messi. Or is there any other question from you, Messi?
In absence of none other question from Messi, let's take Joseph Adugu question. He says, in a situation where you have a massive report due at 9 a.m., I think this question is going to Miss Dima. In a situation where you have a massive report due at 9 a.m. tomorrow, but you just got invited to a discussion with the VP of your department, what do you do? In a situation where you have a massive report due at 9 a.m. tomorrow, or you just got invited to a discussion with the VP of your department, what do you do?
When you say a massive report at 9 a.m., is it to the internship, right? But then you just have to know which of them. This kind of like relates to issue of important but not urgent but not important, stuff like that. At this point, you have work and then you have school, right? You could easily tell your PM, oh, this is what's going on. This is where the communication comes up. I have this going on right now, but give me 30 minutes, give me 35 minutes, or please just let me record the conversation, the meeting. And then when I'm with this that I'm doing, you could share with me. You see how you've been able to balance both worlds. Joseph, have I answered your response? You just communicate with your PM. This is what's going on. I have this with the VP of my department, and obviously the vice president of your department. It sounds very important. So you just have to tell your choose one of them, but then communicate with your PM in case your VP disappoints you. You can easily go, oh, this ended up happening again. We can now do this. So the early communication is still very, very much appreciated. So that's it.
Okay, so that answers the questions, but it seems no problem. Messi Kalu, your question will be attended to later on. You can still, outside this meeting, you can still chat Mr. Daniel for more. So we're going to take the last question for now, after which I'm going to be inviting our team lead to give the closing remark and further. So as a PM, the last question says, this is from Miriam. As a PM, how well do you communicate the deliverables of your team during presentation, since you're not 100% familiar with their roles? As a PM, how well would you, not do you, how well would you communicate the deliverables of your team during presentation, since you are not 100% familiar with their roles? Okay, Miss
I
Dima,
think this
this
is a
question.
message for me. This one is the question for me, right?
Yes. Go ahead.
So we are in an era of AI. There's basically nothing you would not search online now. You could just pick up Meta or even Gemini or ChatGPT. Oh, what is the role of this and this in a group? And the answers will just come up. That way, you'd be able to know exactly what is expected of each team. Miriam, did you get that?
Miriam, you can unmute and answer if you got that. Okay, she got it. She got it. She said yes, ma'am. Okay, go on. Miriam, you're saying something.
Now, also remember, if you've done your research and you're still a little bit confused, you can also reach out to the management team. We are literally always here to help you. We have the technical support. So that's our job. That's literally our job. So please don't be shy. None of you should be shy to approach any of us, whether you're inexperienced or not. For the fact that you're here is actually, do you know how many people actually bid to be here? So please don't be shy to actually reach out to any of us or think that anybody is going to see you as being experienced or being a lousy or a lazy person. So please always reach out if you have an issue, if you've done your own research and you're still confused about it.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Dima. Thank you so much. Okay, so to round up, we will be calling up our team lead. We'll be throwing more light on Mercy Carlos' question and also on Miriam's question also, and we'll give you more insight to our topic for today. So thank you. As we welcome our team lead, can you give a reaction, please? Can you give a reaction to welcome the team lead, Sir Lawrence Johnson? Welcome, sir.
All right. Once again, good evening. I'm going to say thank you so much, Mr. Uche, for coordinating the meeting. Thank you to the speakers as well. Done excellently well in communicating these core competencies for remote work. And before I say anything, let me quickly attend and add my voice to the questions. Okay, so we had the first question from Mercy, and it has to do with the Eisenhower's matrix. The Eisenhower's matrix actually divides your deliverables into 4 quadrants, and these 4 quadrants, like you've already learned, specifies the important ones, which is equally urgent. You have the important one that are not urgent, and then you have the not important but urgent, and then you have those ones that are not important at all and they are not urgent. But your question comes from the quadrant, the section of the quadrant that talks about the ones that are important and not urgent, or rather the ones that are urgent but not important. So I'm going to answer your question. So for the ones that are urgent but not important, urgency has to do with time, while importance has to do with priority. So when you say something is urgent, it means you're probably asked to deliver in 10 minutes. It makes it urgent. So when you're ranking your deliverables, you rank them based on priority, but on another level, you can also rank them based on time. So for instance, to say you have a couple of deliverables that are already in the Jira board for this week. And as the PM, you're preparing for the review meeting. I'm just giving you a practical example. You're preparing for the review meeting, and then Miss Diane sends a notification to the announcement channel to say, reminder for your week video submission. Now, the week video submission is supposed to close by 2 p.m. and you're preparing for your review meeting by 8 p.m. Now, your review meeting is very, very important. However, your video is urgent. What do? It doesn't matter who delivers the video. You can now delegate someone in your team, tell the person what to do, and say, okay, please create a video for us, ensure to talk about this, and that. And let's try to submit before 2 p.m. while I continue to work on the deliverable for the PM review meeting. Now, what have you done? It is important to you. It is urgent, but it is not really so important to you now because it is something another person can do. I don't know if you get. So that's basically what importance and urgency is about. Urgency has to do with time. Importance has to do with priority. Oh, we have to do this in 10 minutes. But there's something more important that we have to submit in the next 5 hours, and I'm working on that. Okay, someone else can do this one because we need to drop it in 10 minutes. So that's one. So Mercy, I hope this makes it much more clearer to you. And also, for the other question, I think Dima has done justice to the question on communication. Then, all right, Mercy, we'll come back to you. Then we have the question from Miriam. As a PM, how do you communicate the deliverables of your team during presentations since you are not 100% familiar with their roles? Now, this is very, very simple. Ideally, in the training of a product manager, they are usually exposed to a little bit of knowledge of all this, especially design. They get to understand a little bit of development and data analysis. If you really learn product management, you have a little bit of knowledge of those. However, the very best way to, as a PM, to be able to communicate that, it boils down to teamwork. It now boils down to the level of communication in the team. Now, if I were to be a PM, this is what I would do. I would sit everyone in my team down and tell everyone we do a mock presentation. Do you get? This is the best way to go about it. You do a mock presentation. So what that means is you should be done with your deliverables probably a day before the review day. Then you set your mock presentation in-house earlier before the time of the actual presentation. Now let your dev present to you. Allow your designers present to you. Allow your data analysts present their work to you. Simulate the scoring. When they've done that, you are in the process of them doing that, you're actually watching and grabbing how you would also present the work. So as a PM, if you do that, it will be very easy for you to now present during the actual PM review meeting. So I think that will work for a lot of things. All right. So I hope that answers your question, Miriam. Then back to Mercy. So my question is, what should take precedence between urgency and importance? Importance takes. Now, this is it. Urgency has to do with time. But if what is urgent is not important, SNOI is saying delegate it. SNOI is not saying don't just abandon. No, don't abandon. If it is urgent, but it's not really important, delegate it to someone so that the timeline can be met. But for something that is very, very crucial, something that is very, very important, now this is the philosophy around it. You're not expected to delegate something that is core to your own deliverable. You're not expected to delegate something that is, it's just like the president of Nigeria giving delegating someone else to, what do you call it now, to give a speech on Independence Day. It's not possible, but you can actually delegate someone else to attend inauguration, commissioning, flag off, and all those things, because he has to be able to apportion his time to do the things that are core to his own deliverable. So as a PM, or probably, let's say as a PM now, you know that preparing for your PM review meeting is very, very important. So if in the process of preparing for your PM review meeting, there's a need for you now to create a video. Or let's take, for instance, you're supposed to have one-on-one, because ideally in an agile system, PMs, you're supposed to actually also try to have one-on-one with your teammates beyond the general meetings you're having. So let's say you're supposed to have a one-on-one and you're preparing for something, or a teammate is reaching out to you for support. If there's any other person in the team that can attend to that support, you can quickly delegate it. Oh, please help me respond to this person while I am preparing our document for the review call. So precedence between urgency and importance. Importance comes before urgency. What is important is already in its own realm urgent. It's just that the timeline now, something coming might now be more urgent than what is important. So what you do is you delegate it out. Look for somebody that can do it. Oh, quickly do this and drop it in 10 minutes while I focus on the actual deliverable. So Messi, please let me know if I need to explain some more to you. So I'll be looking forward to. Okay, I'll be checking the comment section to see your comment, Mercy. So once again, everyone, well done. You've been doing a lot. We were saying in the team that in the second week, it's going to be marginal gaps between the circle. So your leaderboard is going to be dynamic this week. And I mean, the program is getting interesting by the day. I think the most interesting part of the program for me was when I looked at the tails of week 1. Getting to see that some of you are even fighting, in your groups, or rather having conflict. It's interesting. I mean, it's realistic, and that's why you have those conflicts. The most important thing is, how do we manage it? How do we handle it? And how do we get the work going? So you look at the bigger picture beyond. There are going to be tough decisions. In the last week, a particular circle was disbanded. It's a tough decision. They had already started out their tasks, but we regret it. It was sad for us, but we had to do that. So it goes to say that every circle has to be up and doing. Every circle has to be up and doing. And beyond the entire scope of the program, whatever you're working on now gives you a solid portfolio. and also improves your core competencies for remote work. So thank you all. Well done. Okay, Messi is asking again. So why is the third quadrant ahead of the fourth based on your illustration? The fourth quadrant talks about the not important tasks and the not urgent tasks. A practical example of the tasks that are not important and not urgent in the context of this internship. Yes, please, you can speak.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. Don't worry,
I'm
we'll
sorry
attend
to
to your
derail
question
us
because
with
it's a
my
learning column.
questions.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so you said there should be a precedence to importance rather than urgent. But now the second quadrant said urgent and not important. The third one said important and not urgent. Am I correct?
Yes.
So why can't the third be second since there's a priority to importance, not actually urgency?
Okay. All right. I think you're missing the point. So the quadrant is pointing much more to what you should do. What you should do when you have such tasks. It's not giving priority to the positioning on the matrix. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. It's just pointing you to what you should do. Do you get it now? It's not giving priority to the position on the metrics. It is important and urgent. Good. It is urgent. It is not important. Good. It is not important. Now, the reason why you see it being placed that way is because Eisenhower's philosophy or framework rather is pointing you to time management. So, and in this context, urgency is the time factor. Do you get it now? Urgency is the time factor. So you have it drawn that way. Do you get the context now? So for every of these points, you know what to do when you experience such kind of tasks. And trust me, in the reality of things, when you see such an, you might even forget the Eisenhower's matrix. So in the most small tasks, try to use the Eisenhower's matrix to help you a lot. And I think one of the most interesting things Daniel talked about is the 2 minute rule. 2 minute rule, very, very important. It helps people, especially the ones who struggle with procrastination. If you know that you struggle with procrastination, okay, I'm going to do this later. The 2 minute rule helps you a lot. And then there are other frameworks that you'll be learning as the time goes on. There are other frameworks, like for people who struggle with focusing on their task. There are other frameworks that you'll be learning as time goes on. So, Mercy, I hope you're good to go now. Thank you so much. I'll give back the mic to Uche so that we can wrap up for the day.
Thank you so much, sir. That was an awesome one. I've learned so much about this quadrant. I'm very, very sure I'm going to implement it in my daily tasks and work. I've always been working remotely, so it's going to also help me. So I believe every one of the interns here has been enlightened on how to strategize their time management and how to be strategic with their communication. Make sure you implement this, and we need feedback on your implementation of this during the Orange internship and what the results were. If there was improvement in the working competencies or capacity of your team or not. So on this note, we're going to be calling it to an end. And I want one of the interns to quickly lead us in a closing prayer so that we can close. Any further questions can come in on the Discord or whatever thing you want to get. So, Mercy Carlo, lead us in a closing prayer, because your questions has been one of the pain points today, and I'm happy you really got your response. So, Mercy Carlo, lead us in a closing prayer as we close.
Hi, good evening. You didn't even ask if I'm a Christian. What if I'm not a Christian?
I didn't hear you say.
I'm just joking.
Just be joking, seriously. Okay, you can go ahead and pray for us.
Hi, thank you, Heavenly Father. Thank you for this insightful meeting we've just had today. We thank you for the knowledge you've granted unto us, and we thank you for those you've used to impart this knowledge unto us. We give you all the glory, give you all the honor, give you all the adoration. We thank you for this internship as well. Thank you for the opportunity to exhibit our skills. We also thank you, O Lord, for making it possible for the rest of interns that are showing up and they're doing their best. Even those who are not doing their best, O Lord, help them to come up and meet up with tasks and help us accordingly in our various teams. Thank you, Father. Thank you for our wonderful PMs, and thank you for all the other members of different talks. Thank you for the organizers. More glory to their names, more glory to the internship. And as internship grow, we pray more people will come in and it will be a means of elevating them in their careers and in their chosen fields. Thank you, Heavenly Father. We close this meeting in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. May their name be glorified in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, goodbye, everyone. See you in the next episode.